Hello everybody, welcome to Market Masterclass, and on this occasion we're going to look at investment style. How are you going to approach the investments that you'd like to get into? There are many different types of styles, so the obvious one to start with is the risk levels you're prepared to take. There are many risk levels, from no risk to medium risk to high risk, and there's even extreme risk. So that is always linked in with the time that you're going to invest. If you're going to buy a house within 12 months' time, then you're not going to put your money into something high risk, because you might only be able to afford to buy a small cottage rather than a nice house that you're hoping of, because risk levels need to be pretty well zero for the shorter the term that you're going to invest for. If it's long term, if you're going for 20 years or even that sort of time period, then of course you can consider taking a much higher risk and obviously keep it monitored. But over time, most things go up and down, but over longer periods, most things go up. So risk level is very important. All investments, whatever they are, there's somebody who will put a risk level rating against them. You know whether it's going to be risk level 1, which is very low, or if it's risk level 10, then you could make an awful lot of money, but you also could lose an awful lot of money. So the engagement levels that you're going into need to be carefully considered. In other words, we mentioned diversification, the engagement levels. You might, of course, mix it in with risk and have most of your money engaged in low to low medium risk, and you might have a small amount of money for high risk, because you've got time horizon to get your good returns over long terms, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years plus. So you've got to decide also whether you're an active or passive investor. If the more risk you take, the more active you've got to be with the portfolio that you're keeping an eye on, or somebody's keeping an eye on for you, because things can change very quickly. You might want to put a stop loss, which is basically you decide that if something goes below a certain price, you will automatically sell out of it. So that's like quite an active process. You might be very passive. You invest the money and it just rolls along and you don't really want to get involved in it. And that passive investment tends to be the low risk end of the market, because you don't have to keep an eye on it all the time. So it's all to do with the objectives that you're intending to be involved with, and that is always to do with the time that you're going to be investing for, but also you might have objectives that you're quite happy if you get an average return of 3 or 4% per annum. Of course, in the banks these days, the interest rate is quite chronic. And then you've got to take into effect the fact of inflation. So if you're getting a 2% in the bank and inflation's 4%, then you've got a guaranteed loss account in the bank. So you want to be looking, most people tend to look at, if you're doing 10% returns, that's a really nice objective. So then you can roll up, you can take something like the rule of 72. If you take the number 72 and you go into an investment which is going to return you 10% per annum, then you divide 10% into 72, and that gives you the figure for how long it's going to take you to double your money. So if it's returning 10% per annum, it's going to take you 7.2 years to double your money. It's quite a good little basis, mathematical formula to see how you're getting on with your own objectives. And finally, I mentioned already, the time horizon is extremely critical about what it is that you're going to withdraw in a certain time into the future. Your time horizon is very critical, because a lot of investments you go into, they might be a lock-in situation. If you come out, some investments, you're locked in. If you come out early, before 8 years, then they back-end charge you. So you have to look into how the investments you're going into are structured from that point of view. It might have done very well, but if you're back-end charged, you've got to obviously not get the return that you would hope for. So time horizon is very critical, and those are sort of investment styles you've got to look at before you jump in the deep end in any markets. I hope you found that useful and interesting. Bye for now.